Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm here with Elisa Melendez, the new media manager at Gearbox, and you have a pretty unique history with both gaming, with research and academia, with music. We're going to talk about a lot of that different stuff, but first off, just who are you?
I am Elisa Melendez. Some might call me Dr. Elisa Melendez. I do new media at Gearbox, and I finally have my doctorate in sociology, studying video games, of all things.
So obviously you must have a long history in video games then. Tell us a little bit about that.
Gosh, so I've been playing video games for as long as I can remember. My brother is 6 years older than me, and he would teach me how to read by shoving a Nintendo Power magazine in my hand and being like, here, help me out on this. I have very fond memories of sneaking downstairs to the kitchen to grab something to eat, and then I'll just hear my dad like still playing Tetris late at night. So we were surrounded by video games, and it's been pretty much a part of my life.
Since the beginning?
The entire time I've been here.
And not just video games. We talk about video games. We also mentioned music in the intro for good reason. Music is also part of your life. Tell us about that.
Yes. My mom jokes that before I could even learn to talk, I was singing Bon Jovi and hair metal all around the house. I started writing music in earnest and playing out in high school, and have sort of carried that with me.
Have you managed to find sort of that cool intersection between video games and music?
One of the things that led me to study the intersection of music and video games for my PhD is that I experienced a lot of the same sort of static for being a woman in both industries, right? So playing online games and hearing commentary of, oh, are you playing this? Or you don't really play video games, do you? Or you're pretty good for a girl. And a lot of that same sort of commentary came when I was playing music, right? I would go to a bar with my band and they'd be like, oh, who's your boyfriend? I'm like, well, I'm actually in the band, honey. So I would get a lot of that, oh, you're pretty good for a girl, or even meeting with people in the industry as I was trying to make my way through, and them having comments of, walking out of a lawyer's office and them saying, well, if you keep wearing that dress and those boots, then, I'd love to see you again. And just really slimy, grimy stuff that would happen. And I found that it's a lot of the same sort of language, right? You don't see a lot of women represented. When they are, they tend to be kind of put in these little specific boxes. And oftentimes they have to prove themselves twice as hard to be twice as good, whether you're a guitar player or whether you're in esports, or even just, having the audacity of putting a microphone on and playing Halo Online or something. So that kind of led me down the path to really sort of studying the commonalities there and how it is that things in the industry, whether video games or music, are kind of perpetuating a lot of these stereotypes.
Well, let's dive into that a little bit more.
Sure.
You talked about your PhD. Let's dive into that. What's your dissertation about?
So my dissertation focuses on the intersection of sort of gender performance and rock music as they play out in the video games Rock Band and Rocksmith. So Rock Band, a lot of folks might be familiar with that one. You try to pretend you're a rock star, you play a plastic guitar.
I 100% was a rock star, for the record. Just
Yes.
expert all day, just saying. Just putting that out there. Okay.
Don't dream it, be it, honey. And then there's Rocksmith, right, where you can plug in a real guitar, a real bass, and actually learn how to play. And I thought it was interesting to kind of study both pieces, because one of them is extremely popular, and then the other one sort of represents this kind of next evolution of being a rock star.
But have there any specific lessons that you took, from the dissertation, from education, and applying it into working in the games industry? Because obviously now you're in the thick of it. How has sort of those initial both experiences in music and gaming and then the official learning affected your work?
Yeah, so it's really cool because I get to be someone inside, that gets to pay attention to things like not just stuff that goes into the games, which I studied extensively, but also things in the marketing of games, helping to write job descriptions so that they're more inviting to a more diverse subset of applicants, right? If we're trying to sort of fix a problem of getting more women and getting more people of color in the industry, it's across a lot of subsections of it. It's in the content you put in the games, it's the ability for people to see themselves represented. It's also about people seeing themselves represented in the industry proper, who gets chosen to represent games at different industry events, who do you hire, who do you promote within, and what are your attitudes towards not only hiring those people, but also making an inclusive culture within your workplace so that those people stay.
And that's a conversation that we've been seeing a lot recently in the industry, so it's awesome that it's something that you're involved with in the day-to-day. And another thing we're obviously working on in the day-to-day, of course, has to be Borderlands. So
Yes.
I know you have a very personal connection with this game, so tell us a little bit about that.
I have the incredible honor and privilege, and it's still wild that I get to say this, but I play one of the baddies, Tyreen Calypso, in Borderlands 3. It's been an absolute treat and an absolute honor to do it. So yes, that is a voice acting gig that I currently hold.
That is pretty darn cool. So somebody who's a fan of the franchise, now in the franchise, like, I can boot up that game and that's me.
I know.
And that is pretty darn cool. You know, talk about representation. I mean, it doesn't get any more specific than that's literally me. Just in closing thoughts, I mean, you obviously get to work with this every single day. You know, diversity, inclusion, one of these things that we're pushing towards, something that AnyKey is driven towards. If you had advice or words of wisdom to somebody who is looking to get involved in the industry, who is looking to join, and whether it be at a basic level or really trying to dive in, what would you say to those people?
It's cliche, but don't dream it, be it. If you want to be a game designer, make games. If you want to be a content creator that might eventually make their way over to working for their favorite video game franchise, make things. Make those Twitch streams happen, make those YouTube videos, build a portfolio no matter what it is that you're doing, from level design to art, because people want to see that you can do the thing and iterate and get better.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for sitting down, chatting with us. It's very rarely get to meet somebody who has such a breadth of experience in the industry, so we really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us, and thank you so much.
Of course.